Good morning and Assalamualaikum. My name is Ermi Razmi Azmiza binti Ahmad Termizi. My matrix number 270169. Okay, let me start the presentation. First, I will explain about what is a globalization, and second, I will explain about the relation between international relation and globalization. Globalization is defined as a process of social, economy, political, cultural, technological, and institution that contribute to the relationship between societies and individuals in the world. It can be said as one country, one world, that where the interaction between each country in the world becoming more boundless through the transaction and cooperation between them. So with the help from the technology, the advance of technology have made the globalization as a trend to all the world, and little by little undermines the traditional state sovereignty that back then did not open their country to the outside. Okay, the next, the relation of international relation with the globalization. So these two things is closely related. So there are times where the states are confronted by the globalization issues such as environmental degradation and a disease which government alone cannot manage it. So because this kind of issue will affect all the states in the world, so without the cooperation between them, this issue will not be settled and will become worse and eventually affected the earth and human being itself. So for instance, this upcoming issue which is still affect us, which is a COVID-19, where requires unprecedented political cooperation. So the government of the developed world had to respond to the growing epidemics in China, where national authorities itself could not address the issues. So with the cooperative actions, requires states to compromise their sovereignty. Now, a few developed states have gathered their own best researchers to find a vaccine about the virus that has caused millions of deaths worldwide.
Assalamualaikum Madam Razia. My name is Muhammad Ahmad bin Fadil, matric number 271228. The development of transportation and communication. Development in transportation and communication have played an important role in the process of globalization. It is understood as one of the key and driving forces in the process of globalization. Increased development in transportation and communication has enabled humans to rapidly globalize their life. The development of transport and communication system is embedded in the scale and context in which they occur, from local to global, and from environmental, historical, technological, and economic perspective. Recent technological advances in transportation and communication have fundamentally changed the distance and time between all parts of the world. Today, international relations are deeply intertwined because of the aviation system, the growth of mega ships, and the connecting carriers between the two countries. Advances and innovation in telecommunication system also have reduced the cost of regional relation and information flow. In today's international relation, transportation and communication are becoming faster, more flexible, and more predictable in the short term, allowing globalization to take place nowadays.
Good day, madam. I hope that you're doing well. My name is Jacinta Joyce, matrix number 271336. Today, I'll be explaining about the driving factors of globalization. The first factor is because of the existence of transnational companies. Transnational companies can be defined as multinational companies that operate internationally in many different countries all around the world, where the ownership and management of these companies are dispersed internationally. Transnational companies are usually from developed countries where it does its production and marketing in less developed countries where the cost of production is less. Okay. transnational companies are categorized as large multinational firms that actually drives to globalization and also research and development. According to Tahirli, in one of his articles, he stated that transnational companies are complex and they also invest in companies that open branches under the brand name. Okay, let me explain here. The example that I want to state here is on Coca-Cola. Okay, Coca-Cola is a registered beverage company in America. It is located in America and its headquarters is at Atlanta, Georgia. Does its production and marketing facilities in many different countries such as in India and also in Malaysia. Through the existence of transnational companies all around the world, the global economy has become more stable and increasing throughout the years. This is because of many of these companies has branches in countries where the cost of production and labor costs are less compared to other countries. Like for example, Coca-Cola itself, Coca-Cola is from a developed country where its production is mostly based on developing countries, such as in India. India is a developing country. Okay, by this method, it increases the profit of the companies and returns for the shareholders. At the same time, the company has also growth, has also profit as the demand and supply for the product grows. Thus, this increases the chances of uneven economic growth because both developing and developed country has benefit and development in countries all around the world. Yes, actually, through globalization, development happens in the aspects of infrastructure, technology, production, and many more. The second factor of globalization that I would like to explain is on the introduction of liberalization policies. Okay, liberalization of policies refers to the government of a particular country or a specific country. It loosens its restrictions against the policies of their countries. In this aspect is mostly based on economic policies regarding trade. This means that the government removes certain trade barriers including tariffs, support subsidies and other restrictions when it comes to trade between countries. The support of liberalization of these policies are through deregulation of certain policies, through privatization programs, through assistance of unions and acquisitions, through the progressive dismantling of government assistance arrangement, through the giving fiscal security and strategic primary or just job in the controlling of the company. This is stated by Giles in one of his articles. This factor has strongly driven to globalization because it increases the communication between countries. Besides, it has easier for the multinational or transnational companies to penetrate into the domestic markets of countries where they want to trade in because there is less restriction or less barriers when it comes to having trade with other countries. For instance, I would like to take our country, Malaysia itself, as an example here. Okay, Malaysia practices the liberal trade policies where it comes to trade, and the government also emphasizes on the regional and also bilateral trade agreements with countries all around the world. Malaysia has bilateral trade agreements with India, Australia, Japan, Pakistan, and many more countries. In the regional level, Malaysia is a member of ASEAN. Under ASEAN, they have this particular agreement known as the ASEAN Free Trade Area is established. This agreement is established where in the trade bloc agreement, the member countries supports the local manufacturing and by this increases the growth of all the member countries of ASEAN, because each country is they support each other. So this actually helps the growth of developing countries and all the ASEAN countries.
Okay, the last driving factors of globalization is fall of communism. In 1989, the end of the communist era in Eastern Europe has ended with the execution of the post-Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife Elena. This execution also caused the dissolution of the Soviet Union itself in 1991. The two series of revolution in Eastern Europe has caused political crisis, economic stagnation, and has enlightened the people to change the way the system works. For Eastern, an anti-communist has conducted two mass strikes in 1970 and 1976 in Poland. This movement has forced the government to officially recognize the independent trade union in 1980, which is one of the most contributing organizations in the communist movement, where they put their people to spread the communism. Plus, many communist states have been borrowing money heavily from a foreign bank for decades. So you can see that the borrowing money, they will accelerate the pace payment crisis to the bank. So when the main force is removed, the party leaders started to lose confidence in their ruling. Then it started to fall apart and spread to other communist states, because they have to carry the burden of money and the problem. So from that, the former Soviet bloc has been moving and changing towards Western style political and economic system. Now they are no longer secluded from global community but are becoming integrated within it. The collapse of communism has accelerated the process of globalization and can be seen as a result of globalization itself. The ideological and cultural control of communist political authority was ultimately unable to survive in an era of global media and electronically integrated world economy, because you can see that communist states started to open their country to other world, so they can get cooperation between each other and make some relationship between them.
Moving on to the next part of the assignment, I would like to explain on the characteristics of a globalized world in the aspect of social. The first thing that it provides social security. So what does social security refers to? According to ILO, International Labour Organization, social security refers to the insurance of the general public accommodates its individuals through arrangements of open measure against the financial and social trouble that in any case would be brought out by the general stoppage of income. Okay, for instance, we can say it includes a sickness, maternity, injury, unemployment, old age, and death. The purpose of social security to a country is to provide, for instance, medical care and income security resulted of the categorized possibilities above, like the examples that I stated above. Besides that, it is also essential to protect against unemployment and job creations. When social security plays an important role in the general public's life, in people's life, they give insurance to people so that they can rely to continue their life, and the government actually plays a very important role when it comes to social security. Okay. Through globalization, the labor standards and productivity has also been increasing gradually. There are countries that really cares for their citizens, and they implement bills that actually bring benefits and insurance to the general public, to the public. Okay, for example, I would like to explain about something that Indonesia has been doing for its citizen. Okay, Indonesia has its own bill of the National Social Security system. Okay, this system, it aims to apply the social insurance principle on a comprehensive basis. It covers the health insurance, work injury, old age, pension, and death benefit. The law further stipulates that the government will develop social assistance programs. This is stated by Asher and Nandi in their article. So, I believe that social security plays a very important role when a world is globalized. The second aspect of globalization, the characteristics of globalization in the aspect of social, is that the cohesiveness of family and communities. Okay, so what does it mean by that? So, the concept of cohesiveness of family and communities refers to the quality of forming a united relationship between individuals, family, and a community as a whole. The main characteristics of globalization to this point is through the personality of or in the attitude of an individual itself. Individuals are more disciplined and they practice values that brings unity and enrichment to the family, community, and also the state. For instance, tolerance, respect, fairness, care, and love. Besides that, the main point that I would like to highlight here is on the migration of people is also a reason for the cohesiveness of family and communities. Why do I say so? It's because when people migrate, there is diversity throughout the world. When there's diversity, there's also assimilation that takes place. Besides that, migration is an important issue related to globalization and the cause of changes in family lifestyles. Okay, the social diversity among people is said to bind social cohesion in the shared values of tolerance, human rights, and equality. One of the reasons is because of the increase in international cross-border marriages. Cross-border marriages such as citizens from America marrying citizens from Malaysia or from China. All this mixed marriages causes assimilation in the society. Thus, this creates a better bond from people all around the world because everyone tries to understand each other. There's tolerance between each other.
Now we move to the characteristic of globalized world from cultural aspect. Basically, culture in globalization can be defined as two main definitions. Firstly, culture is a set of values, norms, and integrated behavior that occur people as members of society. Culture, therefore, is an element of identity within an individual group and a distinguishing element of the other group. On the contrary, culture can be defined as culture to art, symbolism, heritage, and culture products. In relation to globalization, these two aspects have important implications for how individuals express their cultural identities in terms of future of culture tradition and with the culture industry. Related between globalization and culture. Over the centuries, human society have been expanded in territory without effective means of communication. They are only in the physical part of their body, such as their eyes, their voice, their hand, and their feet in contact with one another. This changed time and the life of the people with metropolitan cities dating back from 5,000 years ago, and the commercial activities and merchant culture activities have taken place between individuals living among the diverse group of people. However, in the past, communication tools and restriction and culture features were not as fast as easy in this modern world. With the rapid industrial relation, especially in the western region, people began to gain access to machines that allowed them to create culture products and export them across border. By the 8th century ago, thinkers and philosophers had foreseen a trend of are visible culture uniformity. However, the overcoming of economic and national barriers has protected and protected culture from external influences. By the end of 18th century, a culture balance based on European model have taken place. Much of this culture balance is due to the success of rational capitalism that characterized Europe and is a symbol of culture modernity. The interaction between globalization and culture does not seem to be a new phenomenon nowadays. In fact, both of these aspects has been formed, especially with the impact of globalization on culture. A point of contention in the literature of the various historical points have been developed to examine this interaction. This angle will be grouped under three different scenarios with our heterogeneization scenario, homogenization scenario, and hybridization scenario.
The next characteristic of globalization from different angles, which is technology. The exchange technology between nations. The advance in technology have led to technological exchange between countries, especially developed countries. Technological differences that were created have attracting other countries to exchange their technology because the technology built by their own country is too much and they can easily invent it, and they need the technology that cannot be created by their own country. This is because the required materials and manufacturing technology may not available in their own country. For instance, Malaysia has built two submarines named Scorpion, which is now named as KD Tunku Abdul Rahman and KD Tun Abdul Razak, from France in preparation for the military in the event of any threat. This showed that Malaysia did not have any capability to invent the submarine, but they can buy it from another country that has more advanced technology. This showed that globalization has made all the countries to easily make some exchange and buy the technology if they have enough money. Okay, and second, the technological advance is becoming globally pervasive. As globalization becomes a trend for all nations, technological advance will begin to spread worldwide. It is because there are not many obstacles to invent a new technology, as all the developed countries started to build research institutes and keep inventing new technology every day. The technology that has been invented will gradually reach their maturity, so it has lost its dynamism and its profitability. Although it depends on the type of product, which is the cycle may last months, years, or decades, but as the technology approach their maturity, there is often a shakeout, and they will have newly invented technology that will replace the old product which is more advanced and high intelligence. The advance in technology will be sold to other countries and indirectly becoming globally pervasive. That's all from me. Thank you.
And now let's move to the economic parts. This part told us about the globalization in the economic fields. Economic globalization is interdependent in terms of raw material, capital, labor, markets, and technology in the process of production and marketing of goods and services around the world without borders, and is accelerated through ICT advance. So the three main components in realizing the global economy is: the first one, the component of the capital flows. A government direct capital flow from tax receipt into programs and operation and through trade with other nations and currencies. Okay, the second one is the international trade component. International trade was key to the rise of the global economy, where supply and demand and therefore price both affect and are affected by global events. And lastly, the labor and labor force empowerment. The labor force, or currently active population, comprises all persons who fulfill the requirement for inclusion among the employed or the unemployed. Okay, the next slide is about an increase in transfer of capital, including expansion of foreign direct investment (FDI) by transnational companies (TNC). Okay, so TNC is currently defined as a private company competing in transnational, overseas, and global market. This company controls global spending, investment, and employment. Okay, meanwhile, FDI take place when an investor establishes foreign business operations or acquires foreign business asset in a foreign company. FDI is now playing a key role in the internationalization of business and has undergone major change due to technological developments, the reduction of foreign investment, and procurement restrictions in many countries, and the abolition of regulation and privatization in various industries. Okay, so the next slide is about the advantage and disadvantage of globalization. So the first component is politics. So the advantage in globalization for politics is countries that are experiencing globalization will have a good democratic values. Meanwhile, the negative side is that there will be various political values, whether it be individuals, groups, majority or minorities, and it also allows for the threat of national and state disintegration. Okay, so the next component is communication. Okay, the advantage of this is easy to get information on all aspects of the field, easy to communicate, and also can develop a tolerant attitude. But the negative part is it also can share information that is not filtered, so it will be not good to us. Okay, so for the next component is transportation, and the advantage is the increase of mobility, population movement, and the negative one is it will cause the number of accidents higher.
Now we have come to the effect of globalization. There are two main effects of globalization, which are positive effect and negative effect. Positive effect. The first positive effect is global marketing. Globalization has marked the emergence of a number of a new global market in developed countries as a result of privatization of country. This privatization has taken place so that this industry can increase the growing consumer demand. This privatization has also seen many traders seek to expand their value chain internationally. The impact of globalization on business management is reflected in the sudden increase in the number of cross-border transactions. In protecting revenue and maintaining competitiveness, businesses are constantly expanding their footprint as its lower cost and enjoy economies of scale. The second positive effect is cross-cultural management. The process of globalization is more likely to occur in elite regions such as Europe and United States. This is because in these areas there are many people who are rich enough to buy many products available in the global market. These elite territories also feature a wealth of highly educated and rich people from various backgrounds interacting in the Western environment. The United States also seems to have a strong impact on many other countries and societies. The world today has a powerful culture force. The popular consumer culture in the West that is economically dominant continues to change the region, culture, nation, and society. The last positive effect is foreign trade. Globalization has also created and expanded the internal trade in the world. Today, many of these things are available in developed countries are available in other countries around the world. People can get whatever they want from any countries. These developed countries can export their product to other countries. Developing countries do business through international trade where they import and export goods worldwide. These countries that export goods have the advantage of comparison. Moving on to the negative effect of globalization. The first one is job insecurity. In developed countries, people with jobs are unsafe. This is due to many people will lose their job because of developed countries have different type of manufacturing jobs and white collar. This is mean that the country has less job for its people. This is because manufacturing jobs are delivered to countries where the cost of goods and wages is lower than in their home countries. This method can save their costs. They have hired workers from developing countries like China and India. Most of the workers such as accountants, programmer, editor, and scientists lost their job due to the cheaper external sources of work, such as India, China, Korea, and everything. Moving on to the second negative effect is international politics. The process of globalization also reflected in the collapse of the Soviet Union, which gave the United States controls over the global system and international relations. This has given the United States many opportunities to defend its national interests globally and to challenge international legitimacy by neglecting the role of the United Nations and ignoring international law. Power and interests are the key feature of inter-country interaction. Globalization also has led to price fluctuation, which are the third negative effect. Increased competition in developed countries has forced them to lower commodity prices as other countries such as China, which produce lower price which make them cheaper than those products. To conclude my presentation, what I can say in general, it is difficult to see how much a positive effect globalization has on the world with harsh thinking. However, if we think about it carefully, we can see some of these positive effect globalization has had in our environment and our positive impact we had on so many demographic segments of society. Globalization has brought many benefits to developing country. The rapid development of globalization also has a positive impact on the environment as well as a world community. But not everything has happened had a positive effect on society. Globalization also has a devastating effect on negative impact. Thank you.
So the conclusion is, it is clear that this globalization has given rise to some positive and negative effects of some aspect of a rustic. This has helped the rural economy, especially in many developing countries. And the impact of globalization will also serve as a good platform for rural development. And the last one is this is often the case because rural people can easily and effectively receive many advantages from different countries aimed at helping them improve their home situation.